And I'm looking for Miss Riggs, and there she is. She had her back turned, but I didn't see her. So she's going to lead us in the pledge to the flag. And after the pledge, would you please remain standing in honor of President Bush for a moment of silence? Thank you. Thank you. Okay, first item on the agenda, oral communication. Public may speak on any items not on the agenda. I'm going to let Ms. Riggs go first.
Good morning. As your board is aware, yesterday, President Trump has declared Wednesday, December 5th as a day of mourning for the passing of President Bush. As a result, we have a recommendation from County Council and Human Resources that is reflective of our Ordinance Code 2.8.020 that requires that whenever the governor or the president proclaims such a holiday, that the county offices will also honor that and that we will be closed. So tomorrow, December 5th, will be a federal holiday for county offices. All offices will be closed except for our public safety, and the recorder's office will be open. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, public comment. Anyone else wish to speak? Boy, I don't even have to do a time limit. This is pretty good today. Thank you. All right, will the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held on November 20th, 2018, finding that a summary of ordinance number 3346 through 3347 were published, approving a real property lease with Omega Holdings LLC for property located at 20075 Cedar Road North in Sonora, adopting a resolution authorizing the county administrator or his designee to submit and execute all documents related to California Climate Investment Fire Prevention Grant Award, adopting a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by California Emergency Services Act Article 14, Section 8630C due to pervasive tree mortality, approving the General Services Director class specification, establishment of the pay range, and assignment to bargaining unit, approving the Information Technology Director class specification, establishment of the pay range, and assignment to bargaining unit, approving correspondence to Senator Dianne Feinstein, Senator Kamala Harris, and Congressman Tom McClintock requesting that they approve Section 3654 to extend the Secure Rural School program.
Right. Does the board wish to pull anything from the consent agenda? Okay. Any public comment on the consent agenda? Bring it back for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move on the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Rutherford, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Supervisor Royce absent. Clerk, please read item 8.
This is a presentation of a county service award to Diana Murphy from the Community Resources Agency.
Don't make me cry.
If I may.
Yeah, sure. Help yourself.
Well, I don't like turning my back to the audience because as I look out here, I see quite a few people are here to celebrate something that I think is very special. A service for the public of 35 years. I'm not going to use that microphone. If everybody can hear me, that way I can actually face you. Is something truly very special. We need to use it. The boss said I have to use it, so I'll stand over here and use it, so I apologize. It is a great pleasure that I get to stand here before all of you to celebrate Diana Murphy's accomplishment to work for our agency for over 35 years. And I have something to read, but also just for everybody that's here, there are a lot of folks in this room that you must have touched lives And I see a lot of people here and smiling faces to celebrate your accomplishment. And for everybody's knowledge, Diana will be retiring at the end of this month on her 35th anniversary in December. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and read something, and I'm sure that without too many tears, you're going to go ahead and say something to the group here. And I'm sure there's a bunch of people that will want to come up as well. So on December 28th, 1983, that's quite a while ago, Diana Murphy began her 35-year career with Tuolumne County. Yeah, that dates all of us. So throughout her career, Diana has shown dedicated to public service and has gained the respect and admiration of her peers, coworkers, and the public for it. And you can see from the audience that is evident. The mix of folks that are here in the audience to celebrate this speaks to that. Through her dedicated service and exceptional customer service, Diana's skills have served the public by facilitating the processing of our applications and otherwise assisting my department in issuing building permits, environmental health permits, and other functions of the Community Resource Agency, and also serving an instrumental part of our public resource outreach. And that front counter that I am so blessed to be part of is essential, and Diane is critical to that, and I want to thank you personally for that. I have a lot of compliments on your way you treat people. So anyone that has visited with Diana immediately is made aware of her passion for the San Francisco Giants. So if there's any Dodgers fans out there, too bad today.
Lonnie. Where's Lonnie?
Lonnie's just going to have to stand by today. So if you've been to our office, you can see some moderate memorabilia, and some of it's migrated to other offices around there, and I think that's great. So now I lost my place. And this is proved by evident many of the decorations, bobbleheads, and all those other memorabilia around. So I love the bobbleheads, by the way. This display of passion, and I use that word, is something that I see in her actions every day. And it's only second to what the customer service that you provide to my customers that I'm very blessed to be in charge, but also for our community. And I thank you for that. The thoughtfulness in which she helps the customers and guides them through the main process. Sometimes it's very daunting, and she's very patient with folks, trying to help them through our process and help them to understand we're here to serve them, and I appreciate that. Diane began her career as a clerk typist, environmental health, which I didn't know until just late, and has held many other titles such as senior office assistant, office technician, departmental support technician, and has completed her career credentialed permit technician 2. And that's where you're retiring as. Congratulations. In the course of Diane's career, she has received numerous notes and commendations and appreciations for gratitude for her underlying efforts. And I have a stack of them that I think most of them has migrated over the CAO's office, proving that. So Diane has proven time and time again a true lifelong public service is something that she had a passion for, and you should be very proud of that. On December 18th, 2018, exactly 35 years to the day, Diana Murphy will officially retire from Tuolumne County. And while she will be missed, the words that we can express, we are privileged to have worked with you, and I am privileged to have worked with you. And I commend you for a job well done. And if Supervisor Gray wants to present something, and I'll step aside.
I think I was in the office in 1983, probably with some building permits. But Diana, I really thank you for your service.
Even you have to use the mic, huh?
It's close to the right part.
Yeah, I know. That's okay. There you go.
It
There you
looks
go.
this way. Anyway, I want to really thank you for your service.
Okay.
It's been 35 years is phenomenal.
Okay.
To put in there. So
Thank you.
thank you. But we'll get you the right one.
Oh, you can give this back. There you go.
Okay.
This is for great. That's okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm not done yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right.
So
There I am.
this is something we had made that basically, without all the paraphrasing that and the ad-libs that I put in there, is something very nice that actually your good friend,
Karen.
Karen put
Yeah.
something together. and made something for you to have that basically, in much nicer text that I can hardly read without my glasses, is depicting what I basically said. So
Thank you very
with that,
much.
I'd like to present that.
Thank you.
And I think I stole off your wall
Yeah, you did.
because you'd got this ahead of time.
Yeah.
But this is a picture of the old highway down in Jamestown and the plateaus and flats heading out of our town. And it's a picture
Of my
and-
road leading out.
of Diana's road leading out of it. And presented to her, which you already had, which I stole off your wall. So
Yeah,
congratulations.
thanks very much, David.
Mike is yours.
Okay. Oh, wow, you guys, thanks. I'll try not to cry. All right, I'd like to take time to thank you guys for all your service and your help along the way. I started with Craig Pedro years ago, and he was just a blessing. So, my employment was started in '83 at the health department, which was located at Tuolumne General Hospital. So I worked there for about a year, and in that we had environmental health. Well, environmental health, the powers that be wanted us to move downtown to the development agency, which was at the Francisco building, where I'm at now. So I made a full circle and came back. I was there at the health department for about a year, and they offered me a job to come downtown with EH. So I did that. I worked downtown in EH for 22 years, basically the same floor, just one desk over where I am right now. So, in 2006, EH was moved to Morningstar, splitting us away from development and more under the health department, the health officer. Many changes, many directors, many new challenges, many new faces, a lot of people in and out, but I made some really good, close friends. I had a great director when I first started, Ken Perkins, who kind of led me along my line and listened to me and let me express myself, and for that I'm grateful. In 2010, when we came downtown, EH was pulled back downtown to be under the development agencies. And I got to work under Bev Shane, who was a community development director at that time. Bev showed me a lot. She gave me the opportunity to become a permit tech. She believed in me. And she has become my friend and my mentor, and her leadership and friendship means a lot. And I wanted to thank everybody at CRA, now it's Community Resources, when Public Works and the third floor came upstairs under CDD. It's been a really good ride. I can't believe it's been 35 years. I want to thank my front counter girls, Tanya and Tara Lynn. They've been great. That's a hard one to work. I just want you to know that. And I thought I was coming over here in 2010 and I was going to sail through my retirement. Oh, no. Somebody threw a wrench in it and we all went the other way. So I want to thank them because it's a camaraderie that's very close to my heart. I want to thank everybody that had anything to do with this today, all my friends in the crowd. And Debbie Russell said she'd go down with me a long time ago. She said, "Oh, Diana, you need help with EH budgeting. I'm there for you. Come see me." And she's been there ever since. So I just want to thank and let everybody know the encouragement, the respect, the work ethics of a lot of people in the CRA division is really, really, really important. You don't get that very much anymore, and you don't show the passion that a lot of the staff in CRA show. They're there. They're willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done. And I want to thank my dad and my brother, who unfortunately are ill and couldn't be here, but my son Michael, who's here with me and who's been my support through all these years. He's seen it, he's heard it, he's seen the tantrums, he's seen the happy times, he's seen it all, and I love him very much. I want to thank, like I said, the fourth floor staff. Brian Bell, who's been my supervisor since 2010. He kind of let me be me. I think he kind of shook his head a few times and went, well, I don't know if I should let her go off, but I think I just better step back and we'll come back and we'll fix it. He actually let me through a lot of challenging times, Bent, and was very supportive, along with the rest of my coworkers, the ladies across the hall, Karen, my best friend, Taryn. You guys have been a godsend. And I just want to thank everybody for recognizing this. It's been a long haul. It's been challenging. But the counter rocks, you guys. The counter rocks. I'm telling you, it really does. So take recognition of that. I know I'm going to be gone, and they're going to move some things around because there's changes coming again. So it's time for me to go. And I appreciate everything everybody's done for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, you guys.
Okay, bring it back to the board for any comments that the board members wish to make.
Well, it's hard to say anything, Mr. Chairman, after she got through. That's okay, Diana. I want to personally wish you well in retirement. Thank you for 35 years. It's remarkable to maintain such a positive attitude when 35 years of frustration, I'm sure, but 35 years of amazing accomplishment too. And that service to the county does not go unnoticed. You will be missed. We wish you well in retirement. And I suspect with an Irish name like yours, you'll be celebrating a wee bit when it's all over. So congratulations.
Sure. Evan?
Yeah, I love Diana. And I for years before I was a county supervisor even, I've known Diana from dealing with the counter as a contractor, and she's an awesome person. If anybody doesn't know her, and I think you probably got a little bit of a sense of it, she's a tough one, and she's happy and fun and loving and caring and helpful, and but if she needs to kick somebody's butt, she'll do it. So I love you, Diana, and congratulations, and thank you for everything over all the years that you've done for the county and everything.
Carl?
I'm not sure that really the public understands what 35 years of public service really is. It's incredible to do anything for 35 years, and I know you've had different jobs through that 35 years, but to do public service for 35 years, a lot of times you see people at their worst moment when they come. I'm sure you saw Evan at his worst moment several times.
There's way worse. Don't worry, Carl.
But it's not always pleasant work, and especially I'm glad you mentioned the front counter, because the people that are the first face of this county government when they come in to try and get something done are really, they set the tone for the entire county staff, and it's a very important and often overlooked responsibility that they have. And so I share Diana's comment thanking everybody that works that very, very difficult task in CRA. And CRA, for those people that aren't aware, probably other than maybe the Sheriff's Department, Health and Human Services, touches more people in this county than most of our other departments. So it's really, really a key. And Diana, the fact that you infused your very special spirit into that operation, thank you very much. And thank you is not good enough for 35 years of public service, but it's the best that I can do.
Sherry?
So I echo the sentiments of my colleagues, and on a number of fronts. And I can recall going in probably, almost 6 years ago, wandering around because I wasn't familiar with CRA department. And that smiling face caught up to me and just, was just welcoming. And I thought, oh, that's good. She knows who I am. And the real testament came, my daughter was in your office at the front counter probably 2 years ago. And there were, as Supervisor Rotifer said, you guys are the front line. And it can be incredibly challenging and frustrating for the public when they go in and trying to maneuver the process. And there was a customer there who was to say he was upset was probably an understatement. He was quite vocal in his he didn't understand the process, and my daughter was waiting patiently, and she was going to go through the process as a new business owner. And Diane, you wouldn't have known it because she was there with her married name. And she said, "Mom, those gals turned around. I was a new customer. They had a smile on their face. They walked me through the process. They were so incredibly professional, and it touched her to such a degree that she came home and she shared it. And she said, you need to know this. And I shared it with some of your supervisors at the time because those kind of unknown, profound declarations really are a testament to the work that's done in both the difficulty and then the way that the staff maneuvers it. And it is leadership, and you provided that leadership. So I really do wish you well. Your shoes are going to be hard to fill. But I just wish you all the best in your retirement. And thank you for the level of professionalism and the standard that you set. It truly has been appreciated.
All right. Anyone else?
I've known Diane before I came to work for the county. I was in there a lot, and we established a steady banter, and most of it revolved around her name. I kept calling her Diane, and she'd correct me, and after that, I just did it to annoy her. And it was always a great conversation starter, but I'll miss you, Diane. And she has everything you've said about Diana is absolutely true, and I know where to find her after she retires. So, thank you again.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Congratulations and enjoy your retirement. All right. If there's some people that wish to leave, then they're welcome to do that. And we'll take a brief minute here. Will the clerk please read item 13?
This is consideration of approving the appointment and swearing in of Justin Burtwessel as the treasurer, tax collector for the remaining of Shelley Peach's term of office.
All right, we have a swearing in here.
First, your board needs to take action to appoint Mr. Burtwessel to fill the remainder of Ms. Peach's term, and then he can be sworn in.
Well, thank you. Okay, so I guess we have to appoint him so he can fill out the rest of the year. Looking for a motion?
I want to second that at least.
Public comment on his appointment for the rest of the year? Okay. Motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor? Aye. Now we can do the official thing.
Okay, I'm Debbie Batista, used to be Russell, and I am the county clerk, so it's going to be my great pleasure to swear Justin in. So they can hear everything and see you, please raise your right hand and then repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Justin Birtwistle,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support and defend
to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic.
foreign and domestic.
I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and
and I will well and
faithfully
faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I'm about to enter.
Here's your appointment.
Wow.
You will be sworn in again on, as some of the rest of us, on January 7th at noon. But here's your appointment. Only a few of us have those appointments. And if you want to say any words, but I do need your signature when you're all done, here's the mic.
Thank you, Debbie. This is an amazing appointment. I've been very much looking forward to working with all of you and with members of the community. And it's been, I've had a lot of help along the way. And I need to thank Shelley Peach and my running mate, Michelle Ronning, and County Council and the board and my family, particularly my wife, Gretchen. Thank you very much. I'm honored. Thanks.
Welcome to county government. Clerk, please read item 9.
Consideration of canceling the January 1st, 2019 regular board meeting and setting special meetings on January 3rd, 4th, 23rd through 24th and 25th of 2019.
I believe it's the 3rd to 7th. You said the 4th.
Okay, it's the 3rd and the 7th. Sorry. I'm so excited.
All right, Ms. Riggs, are you going to handle this one?
Yes. Sorry, my Surface has decided all of a sudden that it wants to do an update, so I'm going to do this off of memory here. So with the, actually it's working now. Yeah. This is stupid. Yeah, there's not much there. That's what I thought. So with the coming holidays and with the way that the first of the year has began, what we need to do is ask your board to consider canceling the January 1st regular board meeting as required by our ordinance. And that we would schedule special board meetings for January 3rd at 4 o'clock for the general plan, January 7th at noon for swearing in of elected officials, and then setting the board workshop for January 23rd through the 25th.
Okay, any board comment?
I understand that these special meetings are in addition to a regularly scheduled meeting on the 15th.
Correct. We will still maintain the regular meeting on the
Thank you.
15th.
Okay, any public comment? Motion from the board.
Mr. Chair, I move on staff recommendation.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Rhoda, second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read the next item.
Number 10 is consideration of approving the agenda for the January 23rd through 25th, 2019 Board of Supervisors 2019 Planning Workshop.
Ms. Riggs, this is yours again.
Yes, thank you. So on January 23rd through January 25th, we will be, as your board just passed, we'll be having the board workshop. And what we're asking is that that you would consider and approve the way in which we will begin setting that agenda. In the past, we have had our facilitator, which this year it is Dr. Laree Kiley once again. And what we've done in the past is she has worked primarily with the board, the incoming board chair, and then has made contact with each of the board members. We then synthesize that information, create an agenda, and then that is posted in time for the meeting that will take place on the 23rd. So what we are asking is that you, staff is recommending that you would approve that same process this year, and you would begin being contacted by Dr. Lorraine Kiley in the near future.
This would also include supervisors elect to be contacted.
Correct. I've already given Dr. Kiley all of the information for the 2 new elected supervisors.
Any other questions from the board? Any public comment? Okay, come back for action.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Rotifer, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you. Clerk, please read the next item.
Number 11 is consideration of approving the 2019 legislative platform and authorizing the chair to sign future correspondence and comments on behalf of the board related to the 2019 legislative platform.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am here to request your board approve the 2019 legislative platform. This has been developed with Supervisor Rotifer, and this was per your board's direction in March of 2018. The goal of this new legislative platform is really to streamline what your board chooses to pursue as far as legislation, changes to legislation in the coming year. So that was discussed fairly extensively in March of 2018, and the direction was given for myself to work with Supervisor Rotifer on streamlining and then really making this document something that's workable and usable. So in attachment A of your board packet, you'll see the previous legislative platform and that has, without going too much into it, that has turned into quite a lengthy document because your board is very passionate about a lot of issues, which is great. But it has made it a little tough to really kind of narrow in, certainly for our legislators, to know exactly what we would like to pursue. And so attachment B is the proposed 2019 legislative platform. That platform was developed with input from all of the department heads. You'll see there in the proposed ideas the departments who suggested those platform ideas. And then, of course, I did reach out to your board individually to get your input as well, and those are included as well. And so what I'm asking is that your board would approve 3 to 5 issues that would be considered at the state, and then 3 to 5 issues for the federal government. You can see in the proposed 2019 platform that there are only 3 issues of federal issues that have been brought to our attention, and so if you would like to add a couple more, that's fine, or you could keep it the 3 and really, hit those 3 hard. As far as the state issues, there are 11, I believe. Yes, and so I am asking your board to consider narrowing some of those down so that really we can make this be effective for you all, for staff, and for those who are making the legislative decisions, in this case in Sacramento at the state. So I am asking for your board to make some of those decisions, and once that is made, then staff will work on kind of what we're calling like briefing papers that will be available not only to staff but to your board so that you can really have something to give our legislators or other CSAC, RCRC, other advocacy groups, so that they can really know the impacts of some of this legislation, be it specific legislation related to these topics or changes you'd like to see. So those papers would be available, and hopefully something that would really benefit your board and staff once again. So we would develop those. And then lastly, I just want to draw to your attention a standard practice that your board has is that legislation that's approved on this platform, the chair of the board is able to sign, say letters in support or opposition, depending on what the issue is. And I just want to remind your board that that's, again, what we're asking for, because one of the things that we'd like to do with this legislative platform is make it more efficient. And so as things come up, your board knows that things come up sometimes very quickly, and we need to take swift action. And so having the board chair be authorized to sign, say, letters or make phone calls or, on behalf of the entirety of the Board of Supervisors, really just makes us be able to act, more swiftly and definitively. And of course, as you know, correspondence from the full board is more effective than, say, correspondence from an individual member. So as long as you all approve the 2019 platform and the specifics of the issues there, and then authorize the chair to sign, then we'll be able to move forward in 2019 and plow ahead. So there you go.
I think we'll take the federal ones first, but on the comment of the chair signing, I have no problems with that. And I know this will happen. We just want to make sure that the board is made aware of the correspondence that goes out, so that we're in the loop. So with that, we'll go to the take a quick look at the. I don't know if everybody's having as much trouble as I am with iLegislate today, but
I am.
But it's a little difficult. So
Go to the website.
Bear with me. It keeps wanting to.
Right here, John, you want this?
Sometimes it's
You want to share it?
if you go in from the outside.
Yeah.
You just can't get a big view on it.
Okay, federal issues. All right, so let's take a look at the federal, and I'll give the public an opportunity to comment on the federal issues. Are there any comments that we want to make to increase or decrease those? Okay. So I'm going to ask for public comment on the federal issues.
So just federal right now?
Yeah,
All right.
and then we'll go to the.
Okay, so Nia Kirk, good morning, board. So for a federal issue, one thing that I saw, and when we get to the state issue, I'll tie it into to where it's going, but basically the broadband issue. I know at the federal level, there's a lot of action. It started with the Obama administration. Trump's cut a lot of red tape. I know there's a $422 million act that's going through, and I'll give you guys a copy of this, but it's the Rural Opportunities Program Act or the B Crop Act. So at a federal issue, I'd like to see some legislative action to try and obtain some of those monies. And then, like I said, when we talk about the state issue, I'll talk about how that ties in with that agenda as well.
Okay. Any comment from the board for adding that?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Consensus for now? Okay. So you've got that to add. Any other comments? Okay. Okay, public comment on the federal issue?
We had the same issue as last time I came to speak to you. I have very short statement to make about the process that you're going through right now without the two elected supervisors having input. So can I say just a very quick statement on that? It's part of what you're doing right now.
Okay.
Thank you. The Board of Supervisors plan to set legislative priorities for next year before two elected supervisors start their terms, effectively disenfranchises the voters of their districts. The board's contention is weak that waiting for the elected supervisors to start their terms January 7th would hinder staff from effectively advocating to California state legislature. This gives priority to the opinions of outgoing supervisors over the choice of the electorate for a change in representation. The Board of Supervisors should take the step of waiting 1 month for the new supervisor's input to allow voters' decisions to be honored.
Okay, thank you for the comment. As noted, we do have a supervisor-elect that's here today that did give us some input, and we acknowledge that input. We're going to include it. The legislative platform, I don't want to say that it's completely fluid, but it is. We have added and removed things from the legislative platform through the year. Supervisor Hanville.
Yeah, and to add to the urgency of the issue, the new Assembly and Senate have already been sworn in, and the Speaker of the Assembly has increased the number of bills that are allowed to be submitted by each member of the Assembly to 50. That means you might have 4,000 Assembly bills coming forth, and it's important that we have direction now to deal with those and to feed that back to RCRC and to CSAC. And as you said earlier, this is a fluid document, a living document. It gets adjusted routinely, but we need to operate now. Things don't stop because we've had an election.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Just to comment on that as well. It is fluid. It will change. We need to have a baseline to start from. And I would, having been in that position not so long ago, I would recommend that a review of this document be one of the things that we talk about at our board retreat with the new supervisors.
Right.
Thank
and
you.
that's where I was going to go, because I think that's the opportunity to receive really comprehensive input, and they're hearing from leadership from all the departments, and I think that's the appropriate review time and to receive additional comments from the new supervisors and really refine this.
Yeah, it's always been the subject of every retreat
Yes.
that we had.
But the public's not aware of that. I just wanted.
Right. Timing on some of this stuff, as Supervisor Hanvelt said, is important. Okay, any other public comment on the legislative platform for the federal government? Okay, seeing none, we'll come back and we'll look at the state issues.
So, I'm sorry.
Are you going to say something as a staff report?
Well, in general, I would encourage you all to consider maybe streamlining some of the state issues. This was, as I mentioned, that we got input from all of the department heads who felt like there was maybe some urgent items, and so that's what's on here. But I would, for the sake of really being effective, I would ask you to consider choosing 3 to 5 issues here to pursue in 2019. Not that the other issues aren't important, but really trying to make some decisions.
Mr. Chairman, I might have a suggestion on the state issues. And it will require a little bit of rework, but again, I think we've got some time to do that. CSAC has 5 policy committees. I would recommend that we find 1 or 2 issues that are our highest priority for each one of those policy committees. And CSAC also has a new policy in place whereby we aren't limited to 1 alternate. We can actually appoint the entire board, other than the primary representative to CSAC, as alternates. And that's a real benefit because in 2 ways, I think. And one of them is that any one of us can then be represented, or the county can be represented by any one of us at board meetings if there's an unavoidable absence by the primary member. The other one is even more important, and I would recommend that we think about possibly assigning each one of us to a policy committee with a staff member and track the policy committee activities and pursue those priority items for each one of those policy committees through that kind of a process. I know that's beyond the scope of the discussion right now, but we might want to look at having some kind of a structure such as that. And then we could pursue 5 to 10 because we're focused through the policy committees, and each one of us would have only 1 or 2 to focus on. Just a possible suggestion.
Okay, and with that, I think we have a better chance of getting our program through if we do align it with the lobbying group, CSAC or RCRC, to try to just write a letter on our own. Really, I don't think really does much, but working in conjunction with those. So at last week's meeting, I think we were issued a recap of the issues that CSAC was going to be addressing, and maybe we should look at that first and see what part of those fit in with our list that we have right now. Supervisor Hanville.
As an extension of what Supervisor Rutherford just suggested, I might suggest, even though not everyone can handle all the NACO meetings because of the travel required, we can get people appointed to the various committees at NACO as well. And most of those committees, the one I chair, has at least one monthly meeting where we talk about the platform and the issues, and we're redoing that right now. So I think it's a good potential to make sure Tuolumne County input gets into the NACO committees and the federal issues as well.
Okay. Supervisor Brennan.
So I agree with that, and actually think that, and I believe I heard you say RCRC, because I think that's really important, because I think their comments tend to align with the rural answers a little bit more succinctly. And then I would also suggest that when we're doing this, we look at the broader overview. CEQA, for example, is listed under the state forestry, but CEQA has implications across, CRA and so many departments, and so that when we're putting this together, we are also looking at some overreaching, broad categories, if you will, that cross some of the committee lines.
Okay, so it looks like we need to have a little bit more staff work to bring this particular item back. And
So my only question then is the issues here that are the state issues that were developed primarily with input from department heads, although definitely some from your board as well. Are those issues that you would like me to bring back and see if they fit within RCRC or CSACs, or would you?
I think you're going to tie those in, but there could be some other ones that we might want to keep there. I know that the solid waste issue is, as far as recycling and stuff, is going to be a really big thing, and that's something that we need to be on top of. So, any other, Evan?
Yeah. First of all, I like the effort to simplify this, because I think less is more when you're trying to communicate with people that don't have a lot of time. I was thinking to myself, I like the one-page concept. I would keep federal and state separate on the pages, just depending on where you're going and what you're doing. And I was thinking, though, two things. One, I like having the small summarized version, but I don't think it's a bad idea to have something else in the background, maybe just for our internal use, just to track legislative issues. I was thinking the other thing that's missing here, and I don't know if there's a way to do this, but just food for thought, we don't get much feedback on this. I mean, we do through our reports and our own kind of informal ways of tracking these things. There's no formal way to just kind of see the status of these things. Was a bill actually sponsored? What happened to it? Did it get killed in a committee? Did it get passed and now it's on the governor's desk? I think following along, it will help us deal with the process, the way these things are. They're slow moving, and a lot of these things they'll take years and maybe even decades, and just kind of following that evolution, I think will lend to the effectiveness of this platform.
Yeah,
and using that to kind of give us feedback as the legislative calendar progresses. Besides that, I just want to commend you and Carl. I think you did a good job boiling down the priorities for now.
I had one more point.
In answer to comment that Evan made, I think the intent was, at least my intent was, that once we get this listing kind of semi-set, that we would develop a one-page issue paper for each one of them that would be available for us to use as a leave behind when we go talk to, say, exactly. So there would be some background material underlying each one of these as well.
Sherry?
Yeah, and there's one word that I didn't see in here, and I think it's going to be important. I heard it quite a bit at CSAC in a number of committees, and it's the word strategic, because I think with a lot of the funding entities and then moving forward, you know, the legislature is going to have the ability to kind of be really coalescing around some of the ways that these are going to be allocated. And so, like, you know, at Forest Health, develop a comprehensive and strategic policy. And I would say that I've heard the same thing with No Place Like Home, and strategic could mean multiple counties. It can mean a lot of different things, but it's going to be really important for us to be incorporating that in a policy platform that we're putting forward.
Okay. Any more? Ms. Riggs?
Sorry, just real quick. So one of the reasons that we've asked you to shorten this is for what you were just hitting at, Sherry, is to be strategic, so that we can develop a matrix of sorts that will tell you when we've had meetings with legislators, what those dates of those meetings were, what the follow-up is, if it's made it to a committee, you know, if staff is testifying, or we've had you come in and testify at some of those committees. But the other thing is when it's 5 to 8 pages, it's too broad. And I've sat down as a legislative analyst in the past and sat with with Senator Feinstein's office or with Congressman McClintock, and it's so big we lose our representatives. We need to be able to hone in on specific items that we or you can meet with each of them, and it's very clear, very direct, and we can continue pushing that forward. If it's so broad, we lose our audience. So that was part of the goal here. So as we bring it back and we look at the committees that CSAC and RCRC and NACO have, we just want to make sure we still don't make those so broad that we can no longer, not only that, we need to have the resources. So there's only so many of us to follow up on these. So we're really trying to be strategic in our approach in the coming years as we go through our legislative platform for you.
That's why I said no more than 1 or 2 for a CSAC policy committee, because that's all they can handle. And there are going to be other things that they have that we're not as concerned about. So, you know, for us to have more than 2 per policy committee, unless they just happen to magically align, is probably unrealistic.
And I think it's important to note that when something rises, we're going to be fluid enough that we can go after that also.
I just want to add, too, I think it's really wise to pursue the CSAC, RCRC, and probably NACO legislative, or excuse me, their committees as the arena to influence legislation, because we really do. That's probably the most effective place to do it, to steer state issues.
Supervisor Hanville.
Yeah, I want to take a slightly different line of this. I think we need to have positions. Well, we may focus on our few priorities. We need to have positions with 4,000 potential assembly bills, and I suspect you'll be getting half that number out of the Senate. You're going to see issues come up that, while they may not seem so important in our agenda, I hate to tell you this, but the urban counties will be doing it their way and not our way, and we need to go in and make sure our voice is heard. So while I understand focusing on our few, we don't, when you go to an assembly member or a senator or a congressman, I don't hand them this thing. I talk about the issues that are currently in the forefront and work on those with whoever I'm talking to. And it may not be ours, it may be others. And so I think we do need to have positions on all these things. We have our priorities. We typically don't write legislation, and the legislation comes as a big surprise, and they don't know what we think out here in the real world. So I think you need to have a broad perspective on issues that might get you. And there's an issue that is big in the state, and it will be growing, and that is affordable housing and the RENA requirements that are coming down on us. They're getting stiffer, and we need to have our position, and every member of the board and staff that deals with that needs to know what our position is and be able to articulate it when it comes up, because it will come up.
I don't think this list is intended to ignore any of that, because you're right, it changed. I think what we do is we have a size down list that it's our primary, and the secondary list is anything that's going to be there that's going to affect us. Like I said, solid waste, it's not going to be high on the list, but we're going to have to watch what happens in the recycling arena.
We're going to have to be legislatively agile, okay? But that doesn't mean that we have a laundry list of everything could possibly come up. This is the focal points that we want our staff really focusing on. That doesn't mean when something comes up that we think is either really good or really bad that we don't jump on it and take a position in either support or opposition. I just think these are the things that we want to advocate for, okay, regardless of what happens in the noise level that surrounds us.
We did talk about this with department heads. The practice has been and will remain that as they are monitoring legislation for their specific departments, they will continue to bring items to your board as they do. And so that will remain.
I think the board is pretty good about giving stuff to you guys the other way from time to time, to just just say, okay, this is here. I don't know where we're at on it,
right.
but
and I think we got to remember that CSAC and RCRC and NACO are not the only state and federal associations out there where we have lobbying power. Every single one of our department heads has their own state association, and I think having something like this allows them to advocate for those things in their own associations as well. And in many cases, their association may be more powerful on a specific issue than ours are. So I think this is useful.
Okay, any other board comments? Any more public comment?
Anaya Kirk, I'll hand this to you guys before I talk real quick. Okay, I was going through the same thing, legislative platform, and growing up in this community, we've all known the forest has been neglected for decades. And when I was down at the CSAC conference, I was talking to some of the representatives there, not realizing they're representatives of CSAC, and I kind of made the statement. It's funny that now all of a sudden Butte County, the rural counties, are being talked about with healthy forests, and the whole reason is because communities are burning down. LA is burning down. It's finally getting the public attention. So one thing, it's unfortunate that it's happened, but one of the good things about it is there's so much spotlight, obviously, on forests and safe communities and fire prevention. So as a new supervisor coming in January, I kind of want to take kind of a pause, and I would like to see maybe our number one issue, as I wrote here, fire safe communities and emergency planning. I think under the umbrella of forest health, forest management, if you throw in the word emergency or safe communities, it's going to get a lot more attention. There's already a lot more lobbying going on at the CSAC, RCRC level. So I think kind of if our county and other counties and rural counties and also in the urban areas, if we can come under the same agreement that we want to have fire safe communities, we want to be preparing for emergencies, I think that's where we could get a lot of legislative help and support and monies coming in under the forest health umbrella. So I went through here. I came up with a real simple list. Again, my recommendation, I completely agree with you guys, if we have a clear 1, 2, 3, 4 items that are our priority, and I would say number one should be fire safe communities and emergency planning. So emergency evacuation, making sure that we have systems up, that we have audible, maybe even sirens that alert our communities if a fire does break out. Egress routes, making sure that all of our roads in our communities are available for all cars to drive on. Number B, fire prevention, public utility oversight, roadside vegetation management. I know we're making some headway on that. Air California Resources Board restrictions on controlled burns. Mandatory defensible space clearing. I won't go through all this, but I'll just touch on the key points. Wildfire response. Getting some legislation that says when a fire kicks off in any community, there needs to be immediate response. I think with the Donnell fire, if there would have been laws that mandated that they go and they they put resources on every fire that kicks off during the fire season in those communities, we wouldn't have had the Donnell fire, or at least the devastating effects. And then, of course, kind of, again, prioritizing emergency evacuation, fire prevention, response, and then all the way down post-fire recovery, having a plan in place so that what happened in Butte County doesn't happen in Tuolumne County, where we can't, find 1,100 people for a month. So this is, again, there's a lot of information here, but I think what I'm trying to portray is coming in. I would really like to see our focus on making our community safe. I think we're to the point now. We've been thinking about this for decades, but we're to the point now where it's not a matter of if it's going to happen; it's when. And so, under that umbrella of safe communities, I think we could get a lot more accomplished by using keywords, being strategic. That way, when we go to legislators, people catch on to this is about public safety. This isn't about forest management. It's about public safety and saving lives. So I met some people at CSAC, some experienced supervisors who agree. So if we can get this added to that agenda or added to that list, I would like to share it with some of the other counties. That way, as they're creating their legislative platform, we're kind of all at the same time bringing it up. I think it'd be, again, more strategic, more effective that way. So just thank you for considering it.
Supervisor Royce.
Yeah. I'm not going to be around for very long, so I'm not opposed to that at all. First thing I wanted to say, I've been thinking about these same exact things, and this first fire safe communities and emergency planning section that you have, I think is absolutely critical. I think a lot of the stuff may not be state level. I think a lot of the stuff we need to take control of our own destiny, and I think this winter, I think there needs to be a task force or some kind of serious effort put into planning for these devastating fires that are different than what we've seen in the past. So I agree with you. I think it's a different, I would like to see more than just the legislative platform actually focus on that. I'd like to see more local effort. And the reason is because I think we need to worry about this for next fire season right off the bat. And it's, we saw an entire town get devastated. We saw 85 people or more die in Paradise, which is a town that has very similar, conditions that we do. And I've been clearing around my house very, very aggressively. I mean, I've personally been taking this very seriously, and I just want to encourage you to go down that road hardcore and more than just this platform. But I'm all for incorporating this type of stuff, being strategic, being smart about it. So I'm not opposed to any of that. I think there needs to be more time and work to incorporate your new visions and your new, as the new supervisors come on board, I think there should be effort to incorporate all of these things into the platform. So I just want to commend you for taking the time to develop that.
I appreciate that comment also, and I was going to report on this under reports, but it's relevant to this conversation. I've already met with Sheriff Pooley and had this very conversation. Ms. Riggs has been part of the conversation, and right after the first of the year, because communities are reaching out, communities are concerned. I've had a couple of those meetings already, and it's going to take a number of different individuals, and so I can have one other supervisor, and after the first of the year, we'll talk about that, but you've shown a clearer interest. And again, I'm going to get back to how do we be strategic, because we utilizing the tools that we have at hand, and working with the Fire Safe Council, and the ingress and egress is an issue that we've got to get. But how do we then relate that information to communities so they know where it is? And so there's a number of pieces to this, but we all know, and it's something that this board has been working on diligently. And unfortunately, it took the loss of lives to elevate this, and that's a very, very tragic state that we have to find ourselves in. And so it's we know it's here, and like I said, I've started those conversations on this very issue, and what people do we bring to a committee immediately after the first of the year, so that we know prioritizing. We can't clear every roadway in Tuolumne County. but we need to prioritize those that we can and figure out what is the defensible space that we need, and how do we move forward with some of the work that the Fire Safe Councils are doing. YSS, there's a number of partners that are engaged, and again, it gets to that word strategic.
Right.
And so I appreciate you bringing this forward, and I think it's front and center for all of the electeds.
Yeah. Regardless of whether it's a legislative platform issue or not, it's something that, collectively we have to address. The governor, I think our grant at $1.6 million for roadside clearing that we've just received. Had a tour with Mr. Gonzalez here just recently in the South County, looking at roadways that need to be cleared. So some of this stuff is in the work, but like Sherry says, we need to jump on it now. This is the time, because people remember what has recently happened. In 2 or 3 years, they'll forget about it, and we'll start it over again.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment. This was a topic, I think, of almost every policy committee meeting that I attended at NACO. But this is not just about a legislative platform. This is really about, I'll call it a task force, or I don't know what the right word is. But I agree with Anaya. I think that this is something that we have to start locally. We can go looking for funds through the legislature, and there will be some because, unfortunately, or fortunately, 6 years ago when we had the rim fire, we didn't kill anybody, thank God. But the problem was because nobody died, nobody paid attention to the lessons that we learned. And now that, unfortunately, that 85 people have died, it's gotten everybody's attention statewide. So there will be the tragic outcome of it is that there will be some funding that will be available. So we should pursue that, but it's really going to be a mosaic of actions that solves a problem, and most of those are going to be locally, and we're going to have to feed it in with our increased road funding, and we're going to have to feed it in with grant funding that may come from any number of different areas that can help us put that mosaic together. Thank you very much, Anaya.
Okay, any other public comment? Supervisor Hanveld?
I enjoy this conversation, but Tuolumne County has led the state in exactly this kind of thing. With the Tree Mortality Task Force, the state was focused on public roads, which were county-maintained roads. And for those of you who don't know, we only have about 600 miles of those. We have I knew that, but 600 miles is a round number. We also have twice that many of public roads that are not county-maintained roads. And in the course of the Tree Mortality Task Force, we pointed out to the state that we were understating the magnitude of the problem. And we went after getting money to do those roads that, while they're public access and egress, they are also emergency access and egress that our firefighters and for other first responders going on, and we got money for that. Tuolumne County led that. I might add that even though it is not a county-owned road, or most of it isn't, the problem wasn't, out of Cedar Ridge, the escape route, the primary escape route, we did the job last year because we recognized exactly this problem. Have we done enough? No, but we are leaders in the state in doing this. It needs to be pushed, but we have not been neglecting this. We've been driving this solution. So, there are more that has to be done. I don't want to declare victory because it is not victory. We're a long way from it. But we have been driving that solution in this county. We have not been ignoring it.
Excuse me, any other board comment? Any more public comment? So staff, you have enough direction with head nods and stuff to move forward?
I'll be doing some more work.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Well, so I will look back at RCRC and CSAC and NACO's policy committees, see what in this draft platform kind of fits within those committees, and then I'll be bringing something back, possibly at the retreat, maybe sooner. We'll see.
Liz, I brought you back a whole lot of homework from
Thanks.
CSAC.
Okay.
Thank you.
With that, we're not taking any action on that right now. We give staff more direction. Will the clerk please read our 10 o'clock appointment, because it is 10 o'clock in Tuolumne County, no matter what that clock says.
So this is consideration of adopting a resolution, adopting the mitigation negative declaration, and approving the Columbia Airport Master Plan.
Good morning. My name is Benny Stuth, the airport's manager for the county. Let's give us a few moments to set up. We have a presentation for you. But just to introduce the item, this is a roughly 3-year process that we began back in 2015 to update the airport master plan, which hadn't been done since 1997. We're very proud of this plan. It's been very methodical. It has looked at a lot of different details, and it's a little bit different than a lot of other airport master plans that might have been done in the past. A lot of airports develop their master plans kind of within their own realm and don't really engage a lot of the different agencies that have decision-making power when it comes to funding for a lot of the projects you might be pushing forward. So we took a kind of a different stance on this project, and we brought in the FAA, we brought in the state, and really took a look at the different things that we're going to be proposing in this master plan that you'll be seeing today, so that we not only come together with a plan that makes sense for us, but something that is reasonable and realizable. Before I really get them started, I just want to take a second to thank a lot of the people that put this together, the very capable people from Kaufman and Associates, David, who has helped us put a lot of the environmental stuff together here internally, all of my staff who dealt with me for the last 3 years getting this together, and then, of course, everybody else at the county that has been a part of it, whether it's been in the PAC meetings, the AAC meetings, the LUC meetings, just everything that we've done to really get this together and present this to you so that we can move the airport forward for the next 30 years. So with that, I will introduce Kaufman. So with Kaufman, I have Matt Quick here as our principal planner, and with him is Judy Krause, who did the environmental side of it. So he'll be taking you through kind of a presentation of the master plan itself, why we started, where we're going with it. Judy will follow up with the environmental factors that we've considered for the mitigated negative declaration that we're putting through with the master plan adoption. So without further ado, Matt.
Thank you, Benny. Again, good morning, Mr. Chairman and fellow supervisors. My name is Matt Quick with Kaufman Associates. I have served as the project manager for this particular airport master planning effort, and with me today is Judy Krause. She has served as the environmental program manager for this project, and she'll talk a little bit more about the CEQA and mitigated negative declaration like Benny had mentioned. But am I okay here? I know I've got a presentation behind me. Do you guys want me to maneuver, or you want me to sit at the table? Okay. You guys hear me all right? All right, very good. Well, like Benny had mentioned, this is a process that started back in early 2016 timeframe. The end of 15, early 2016, and we've went through several different types of meetings, a lot of coordination with the county, with the Federal Aviation Administration, and other agencies as it relates to the airport master planning effort. But just to talk briefly about just a quick background on what a master plan is and kind of the purpose of the master plan, it serves as a vision document for the county, for the region. There's a lot that goes into it. Obviously, the Federal Aviation Administration recommends that airports update their master plans on the average of every 10 years. The last master plan for the Columbia Airport was updated back in the late 90s. So this was certainly a very timely assessment. There's been a lot that's changed in the aviation industry, a lot that's changed locally and regionally as it impacts aviation. So it was certainly a timely reassessment of what's going on out at the airport and being able to provide that visioning document looking over the course of the next several years. A master plan is a 20-year planning document. So we not only focused on what's currently happening and in even the short term, but also looking well out the 10 to 20-year time frame. And in doing so, we were able to, again, grab a lot of information and data as it relates to the socioeconomics, the demographics of the area, things that could be driving aviation and impacting aviation, not just from a local standpoint, but also a regional and even a national standpoint. I think it's important to note that the Columbia Airport is recognized in what's called the National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems. That's a document that's updated periodically by the Federal Aviation Administration, and airports that are included in that NIPIS, or that National Plan of Integrated Airport Systems, are airports that are seen as important to the air transportation system. So Columbia is certainly included in that, and as a result, it is eligible for what's called Airport Improvement Program, or AIP funding eligibility for projects that are occurring. And Benny's been working with the FAA, as you know, on several projects at the airport that are AIP eligible. One of the key components of the outcomes of the master plan is an updated airport layout plan drawing set, or ALP. That's important because that's really the blueprint for the airport and for the county to utilize moving forward in terms of types of projects that could occur and types of projects that could be eligible for FAA funding assistance. And then obviously the master plan is also important because it recognizes what's happening at the airport, what the potential for the airport is over the next several years, and given the economic impact that the airport has on the area, it's certainly able to maximize that potential for growth and development over the course of the next several years. So that's just a real brief synopsis of what a master plan is and its purpose. I wanted to talk briefly about the project workflow, or the process that we went through. Certainly we didn't come up with this on our own. This is something that the Federal Aviation Administration, again, prescribes. There are certain elements that must be adhered to during a master plan process. We split this study into three different phases. And like Benny had mentioned, getting started back at the end of 2015 and then really getting ramped up and started on it in early 2016. We had, during the course of the study, several planning advisory committee meetings, public information workshops. I'll talk about those more briefly here in just a moment. But the first phase of the study, dealing with inventory forecasts, facility requirements, this allowed us to see what's happening at the airport, what could potentially occur at the airport over the next several years, and then based upon the number of based aircraft, for example, or the number of annual aircraft operations, come up with facility needs that the airport should look at and the county should look at over the course of the next several years in trying to meet those different aviation demand segments. So that's kind of the first phase of the study process. The second phase gets into airport alternatives, where we lay out different features and different ways that the airport could accommodate aviation demand over the next several years. And then based upon that alternatives effort, we moved into the final phase of the study, dealing with the recommended development concept. And this is where we really put a plan of action together for the airport over the course of the next several years that outlines different projects from a capital improvement program funding standpoint. So a lot of these projects are going to be dictated by demand. If the airport reaches certain levels of based aircraft or certain levels of aircraft operations, then the county needs to look at certain parameters to help meet that demand. Other projects are based upon safety that are guidelines set forth by the Federal Aviation Administration that the airport's going to need to adhere to. Then there's a lot of projects that deal with maintenance, obviously rehabbing runway pavements, taxiway pavements, aircraft parking apron pavements, things like that are important for the vitality of the airport moving forward. So that was the final phase of the study, coming up with this draft set of airport layout plans as well. Down toward the bottom, looking at the CEQA process, and Judy's going to get into that here momentarily. But those were the three phases that we worked through. I think it's important to note that we certainly did not conduct this master plan behind closed doors. We were very transparent throughout the course of the project. We held 4 different planning advisory committee meetings that allowed stakeholders, airport tenants, county officials, the Federal Aviation Administration, Caltrans Aeronautics, an opportunity to take part in the study process. We also conducted 3 public information workshops to allow the general public an opportunity to come to see what was going on. And we had good participation throughout with the Planning Advisory Committee, as well as the public information workshops. And something that I don't have listed on here, but I think it's important to note that the Federal Aviation Administration was very engaged during this study process. We held multiple coordination meetings with them, just given some of the interesting characteristics of the airport and ways for the airport to meet those future demand standards or design standards that the FAA sets forth. So we certainly had plenty of coordination with them throughout the process as well. This particular slide just shows the layout of the airport. I know many of you are probably somewhat familiar with it. It's got two runways, runway 1735 in the north-south direction. That's the primary runway. It's paved. It's currently 4,673 feet long. There's also a turf runway that runs at an angled configuration to the primary runway, which is right here. That grass runway is very unique, and it's utilized quite regularly with a lot of the aircraft operations and some of the interesting features out at the airport. So just wanted to throw this slide up there just to show you kind of the layout of the airport. And again, from a master planning perspective, we really paid particular attention to everything within the airport property boundary. So obviously focusing on aviation demand, but also taking a look at areas on the airport that may not be conceivable to meet future aviation potential, but could be utilized from a non-aeronautical perspective to help bolster revenue enhancement for the airport. So we go into great detail in the master plan document highlighting some of those various features of the airport. I talked briefly about the forecast a while ago. This is a very important component of the master plan. Again, a master plan is a 20-year planning document, so we look 20 years out in the future. And what we did is we paid attention to two particular demand segments at the airport. The first one was the number of based aircraft, and then the second one was the number of annual aircraft operations. And for Columbia Airport, when we started this study, the airport recognized approximately 150 based aircraft. And then since it didn't have a control tower, we were able to tap into some other forecasting efforts that had been done from the FAA, as well as gathering some information from tenants on the types of activities and the number of activities that they take part in. And we estimate about 45,000 annual aircraft operations. So very significant facility in terms of the number of based aircraft and the number of annual operations. And as you can see from this particular slide, looking over the course of the next 5, 10, and 20-year planning periods, we show the potential for the airport to increase in those particular demand segments, possibly reaching upwards of 185 based aircraft through the long term, and then realizing approximately 62,300 annual aircraft operations. So from these numbers, we were able to start assessing the types of facilities at the airport and making forecasts and assumptions too on what different types of hangars, the amount of aircraft parking apron space, the types of aircraft that would utilize the airport that would dictate safety design standards, things like that. So we go into a lot of detail again in the master plan, focusing on these forecasts and the facility needs that resulted as a course of the forecast that we came up with. Kind of moving into the final phase of the study, this is really one of the end pieces, and this is that recommended development concept or the master plan concept that I mentioned a while ago that came about in the third phase, the third and final phase of the study. And this just shows what we're projecting at the airport in terms of being able to meet that future demand. And again, from the number of based aircraft, the number of annual aircraft operations, taking those into consideration, but also from a safety design standard standpoint. And that's very important, obviously, with the FAA as well as Caltrans, wanting to see that the airfield meets specific design standards before it's able to accommodate different types of aviation demand segments. So one of the unique characteristics about Columbia is the types of aircraft that utilize that airport are actually larger than what the specific demand or the design standards are for the airport right now. So there's some separation issues between the runway and parallel taxiway and things like that. So we spent a lot of time in that final phase of the study seeing what it could take, what would be needed to meet appropriate design standards. And I'm not going to go into great detail on this slide. If you guys do have any particular questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But I think the main thing is just focusing on the runway system. Obviously, the primary runway continues to be where it's at today. The grass runway, none of those features change. As a matter of fact, one of the things that came about as this master plan was the potential need for additional runway length, and that's to accommodate the CAL FIRE operations, as well as just some general aviation demand segments that could potentially occur at the airport over the course of the next several years. So we are showing a small extension to the runway potentially occurring if those demand indicators come to fruition. And then also being able to meet some safety design standards as it relates to relocating taxiways, all at the same time by still meeting those specific aviation demand segments from a hangar standpoint, aircraft parking apron standpoint, things such as that. So there's a lot that's built into this particular exhibit, and we go into great detail actually in chapters 5 and 6 of the master plan report that talk specifically to those. I mentioned the capital improvement program. That was another key component of this. This particular exhibit outlines those capital improvement projects that we evaluated and analyzed during the course of the study process. And again, breaking those into 3 planning horizons, the short term being the first 5 years, and then the 6 to 10 year time frame being intermediate, and then the long term being 11 to 20 years. This is important for airport staff as well as the county. Every year, Benny will go down to the FAA office and provide an updated airport's capital improvement program. And that ASIP, if you will, that will be kind of the guide that the FAA uses as well as the county in terms of being able to prioritize and plan for projects moving forward in the future. So this particular exhibit shows projects well beyond the 3 to 5 year time frame, but again, it allows the airport, it allows the county to start planning for some of these based upon different types of indicators such as safety, demand, maintenance, things such as that. This shows the breakdown of the costs of those capital improvements, and you can see we're talking about some pretty significant costs associated with the airport capital improvement program. Again, a lot of this is safety related in terms of being able to meet those specific FAA design standards as it relates to separation of the runway and taxiway system. And there's also a lot of maintenance items listed in here as well as some demand features as it relates to hangar growth at the airport and things such as that. But I think it's important to note some of these bullet points that I have on this slide as it relates to just with the approval of this master plan, it does not mean that the airport's set up to be approved for all the projects that are listed in this plan. We obviously outlined several projects, a lot of money that's tied to those, but this is something that, again, on a periodic basis, at least annually, airport staff in the county will be in communication with FAA, and they'll be programming these projects as they come about. So, and obviously all those projects would have to come before the county's Board of Supervisors before there would be any further design or construction of those projects. And I think you guys have seen how that works in action recently with some projects going on at the airport. The airport does receive up to $150,000 annually through the non-primary entitlement program, the way the airport is classified with the FAA. Obviously, that amount does not match up with some of these total project amounts. So it's important to note that there will need to be discretionary funding that would need to be pursued for some of these projects. And again, that's where airport staff works with the FAA to see that happen over the course of time. And then a lot of the projects are going to need to be provided environmental clearance through different types of environmental documentation efforts. And that would certainly come about through each project throughout the course of the planning process for design and construction of those projects. This is the end result of the master plan, really. I mentioned earlier the airport layout plan. This is one of the main components of a master plan, and this is, I know it's very hard to see, but I just wanted to throw it on here just for you guys to be able to get a taste of what this is. We are currently in the process right now of working with the FAA to get this airport layout plan drawing set approved. And the ALP set has been with the FAA now for a few months, and they're going through the review process. We've gotten feedback from them. We've made some revisions, and we're hoping that it's in the final phase of review so we can get that approved. And then this ALP drawing set will really be the blueprint or the roadmap for the county to utilize for potential growth and development of the airport in the future, and also being able to identify potential projects on here that could be eligible for AIP funding. I think it's important to note that any potential project that wants to be pursued for FAA Airport Improvement Program funding needs to be included on the ALP. So that recommended master plan concept that I had a couple slides back, all of those features have been put onto this ALP drawing set, and that's what's being coordinated with the FAA right now. And just talking briefly about next steps before I turn it over to Judy to talk about the CEQA process. Again, I've hit on a lot of these. Obviously, the master plan has went through the planning advisory committees, the public information workshops. We've dealt with the CEQA initial study and mitigated negative declaration that Judy's going to talk about. So that's kind of the track that the master plan's on. And then we're obviously coming before you today for acceptance or approval of the master plan document. And then that second component, the airport layout plan drawing set, we have vetted that with the FAA. It's currently in review with them, and we've been addressing their comments as they come forward. The next step on that is to get that ALP approved. It'll get FAA as well as county sponsor, airport sponsor signature, and then that will be the document that the county uses to coordinate with the FAA on a yearly basis as it relates to future projects. So I know that's a lot of information that I threw at you guys in a very short period of time, but that is just the highlights of the master plan and the process. I'll be happy to answer any questions now, or we can come back to that once Judy has a chance to talk about the CEQA process, however you guys would like to address that.
Any questions right now? We can.
Okay. I'll switch chairs and let Judy come up and talk about the CEQA process. Thank you.
Just really quick, right before Judy starts, just a point of order. The resolution that is for this item is included in the agenda packet itself, but was left out of the electronic copy that went to you guys, so I will be handing this out to you really quick.
Okay.
Good morning. The CEQA process for the master plan began just about a year ago with starting with the coordination that's required under CEQA with Native American tribes. The consultation process began with a sacred lands file record search, and then letters were sent out by county staff to Native American tribes at the beginning of last year. 2 tribes responded, the Tuolumne Band of Miwok Indians and the Chicken Ranch Rancheria. Neither had comments, and both seemed to understand that this was a planning document, that there's not actual development projects being considered at this time, and I think that was reflected in their responses. The draft initial study was then prepared with a conclusion that a mitigated negative declaration would be the appropriate CEQA document for adoption of the master plan. That initial study and notice of intent to adopt a mitigated negative declaration was released for public review June 11th. It went through a 45-day public review period that ended July 25th. The county received 2 comment letters, one from Caltrans and one from the California Water Board. Both were basically form letters explaining their process for permitting and future action. So this is the results of the initial study, and I just wanted to point out that because there's no physical improvements tied to your adoption action of the master plan, these are really the indirect impacts that could occur as that master plan is implemented. So the initial study looked at kind of a programmatic level of what could be impacted as the master plan is implemented and projects are started to be constructed. But as Matt noted, those future projects would have their own CEQA process that could use the information in this initial study, but would be required to have additional CEQA review at the time that they're proposed. So the impacts that are listed that have mitigation measures associated with them with this mitigated negative declaration relate to construction impacts for air quality, primarily because there's a school so close to the airport. Sensitive impacts to sensitive species on or around the airport, particularly in Mormon Creek with the riparian habitat and the wildlife corridor that's there. Cultural resources, not all of the airport has been physically surveyed, so there is a potential that as future projects move forward, there may need to be additional surveys. We don't know what they would find, so there's mitigation in there for that. Geology and soils, just to handle some of the soil conditions that are out there. Hazardous materials, again, this relates to the school being so close and there being a potential for construction impacts. The ACLUP will need to be updated for the master plan as well. Hydrology and water quality relates to just your normal construction, stormwater runoff, and then water demand for utilities. So you'll see the next 2 slides just summarize the mitigation measures that are attached to this mitigated negative declaration. You'll see they're all just really standard mitigation measures that would be implemented as the projects come forward. So compliance with California Air Resources Board off-road and portable equipment requirements. Additional botanical or other pre-construction surveys, for example, for migratory birds, may be necessary. This would depend on the area of the airport that's being disturbed by an actual project. This wouldn't necessarily come into play with every project, but it may be required for some. Tree surveys, cultural resource surveys, and project-specific geotech reports. We do recommend that for any construction within a quarter mile of the school should have a hazardous air pollutant analysis tied to it to make sure that there is not impacts to children attending school. I mentioned the County Airport Land Use Commission will need to update the ALEC to reflect the new zones associated with the master plan. And then the standard stormwater quality permit procedures and water conservation strategies. Those are the mitigation measures attached to the mitigated negative declaration. Again, like I said, these are things that would be applied to future development projects as they come forward. That's all I have. If you have some questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions from the board? I do have one particular one. I noticed that one of the items that was not checked was noise. We don't have to through SECA, we don't have to talk about noise of airplanes or anything like that.
We did analyze the noise impacts. The initial study contains updated noise contour zones for both the forecasted operation increases and that little bit of a runway extension, and there weren't any additional areas that would be affected.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions from the board?
Just one, probably of County Council. So let's make the assumption that we adopt the resolution adopting the mitigated negative declaration. What's the follow-on CEQA process? Okay.
If you choose to adopt the mitigated negative declaration, then a notice of determination would be filed with the county clerk, and then there's a 30-day, correct me if I'm wrong, David, a 30-day period that someone can challenge that action, and then that's the end of it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Any public comment? I'm sorry it took us so long to finally get one, but yeah. Persistence does pay off, I guess. All right. No public comment. Any other questions from the board? We're looking at doing adopt the resolutions for a mitigated declaration and approve the Tuolumne County Airport Master Plan.
Mr. Chairman, with great joy, I move to adopt the resolution adopting the mitigated negative declaration and approving the Columbia Area Master Plan.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Supervisor Rodefer, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Passes 5-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Next item.
We're going to go back to number 12. So this is a presentation and update on the new State of California funding for homeless housing and services.
All right, are we ready to go?
We're ready.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Sheila Shanahan, Housing Program Coordinator, and
Steve Boyack from the Human Services Agency.
Today we wanted to give you an overview of some of the new funding that's coming out for homeless programs and housing. The majority of the money is coming from the $75 recording fee from the Homes and Jobs Act that was passed in 2017, and also from Mental Health Services Act funding. You might recall on the ballot there was Proposition 2, which was passed by the voters this last November, and that authorized the use of existing Mental Health Services Act funding to pay for bonds for permanent supportive housing for people who are experiencing homelessness and also have a mental illness. The first program, the No Place Like Home program, this is permanent supportive housing program. And in August of 2017, your board authorized a planning grant for this project. And we have been working on that planning grant, a county plan to combat homelessness. We're working on the plan, and we've conducted a series of focus groups with people who encounter or deal with people who are homeless, first providers, first responders, social service providers, hospitals, healthcare, and we also had a focus group with people who are experiencing homelessness. And then we've conducted a study, a survey, which hopefully all of you participated in. And those will be incorporated into the county plan to combat homelessness. And this is a study that's required for us to then apply for No Place Like Home funding to provide permanent supportive housing in our community. So, new programs. There are two new programs. One is the California Emergency Solutions and Housing Program, which is called CESH, and the Homeless Emergency Aid Program, which is called HEAP. And both of these new programs, the funding is going through the continuum of care. And our county is part of a 4-county Central Sierra continuum of care, which is Amador, Calaveras, Tuolumne, Mariposa. So the first program, the CESH funding, this is through the State Department of Housing and Community Development. It's a little over $500,000, and this is a 4-year program. The COC voted to use the funds for rental subsidies, and about 40% of the funds will be used for rental subsidies to prevent homelessness, and also to help strengthen the continuum of care. With more funding coming out, the continuum of care would like to conduct a strategic plan to strengthen the organization and also strengthen the coordinated entry system, the way that things are reported, to have more money for the point-in-time count, which is very important because the count of homeless individuals is used for future funding, and then for COC staffing. So the next program, the HEAP program, these are funds through the State of California Business, Consumer Services, and Housing Agency. And it's a direct allocation to larger counties and then an allocation to continuums of care for smaller counties such as ours. And the goal of this program is to provide immediate assistance to people experiencing homelessness. So it's a little close to $1.3 million, divided equally among the 4 counties. And it's a very short application period and a very short turnaround time for spending the money. The COC requested that each county take the lead to suggest projects. So county staff identified an existing 10-unit apartment building, which is near services and is near the county behavioral health enrichment center. It has 4 studios, 6 one-bedroom units, and the housing authority, which the housing authority for our county is the Stanislaus County Housing Authority, they would apply for the grant. They would purchase and own the complex, and so they would leverage a roughly $300,000 HEAP grant to purchase and renovate the project. They did make an offer on the project. It was accepted. They are in escrow. The purchase price is $700,000, and there will be some substantial renovation needed inside and out, and so it's a great way to leverage $300,000 on what's probably going to be close to $1 million project. So this is the project site in blue, It's on Hospital Road, just past the Behavioral Health Enrichment Center. This is a picture of the project. It's a very modest project. And in the rear, there's a little bit of open space, which can be turned into, a nice area for residents. So it is a tucked away project, but it's close to services. This is a photo showing in blue the project. It's near, shopping, supermarkets, hospital services, the enrichment center. And so the project, it will be 10 affordable units. 2 of them will be reserved as permanent supportive housing for people who are experiencing homelessness and have a mental illness, and we'll be working with behavioral health. Those will be for behavioral health clients. And then 7 of the units, and 1 will be reserved for a resident manager. So 7 of the units will be for local nonprofits. I mentioned that the CASH funding, there's going to be an increase in rental assistance for local nonprofits, and they often have a difficult time finding affordable units for their clients. And so this is an opportunity to expand the housing stock in our county. And there are letters in your packet from ATCA, Sierra Hope, and the Center for Nonviolent Community, all in support of the project, because this will be a place for them to put their clients. All of the units will be affordable. It's near services and transportation, and it's an ideal project for the target population. And we're happy to answer any questions you might have.
So I've got a quick question, actually more of a comment, because I like that project. I think it's probably going to be a good project. Fortunately, I wasn't aware of it until I read the agenda material. And as we're going forward and there's funding opportunities, I think it's going to be very important just so to reach out to the individual supervisors if the project is in their district, especially if they don't sit on the Housing Policy Committee, so that they're aware that some of this might be moving forward. And my question is have you talked to the city about the project? Because, again, I think they'd be an important, be in the loop.
Yes, we did talk with the city while we were still in the planning stages on the project, and the full report has gone out to city staff and the council, the city council.
Great. Thank you.
Excuse me, I do have a question. We know we have help available right now, so can you give us where people can go to get some assistance?
For rental assistance, the largest provider in our county is ATCA, the Amador-Tuolumne Community Action Agency. There are also other nonprofits like Sierra Hope, Center for Nonviolent Community, and behavioral health also has a lot of programs, as does HSA.
Okay, thank you. Did you want to add to that, Steve?
Well, I was just going to add that we do have our housing support program through the Department of Social Services. It's our CalWorks housing support program. So those that are single, most likely women with children, there's a contract with ADCA whereby we can refer these folks to assist them with their housing needs. Behavioral health clientele. We do have support services through behavioral health for those that are severely mentally ill that are struggling with housing. Through our full-service partnership program, through our crisis program, we would be able to assist them as well.
Okay, any public comment, public questions? Yes, to the podium.
I came here from Amador County today, so I don't meet Johnny on the spot, but this just occurred to me, and just to be helpful, is there going to be a person that's a manager living in the facility? Because if an issue comes up and the authorities are in Modesto, it might be kind of difficult to deal with. It's just a thought.
It will be locally managed, and one of the units is reserved for a resident manager.
Oh, perfect. That's great. Maybe I missed that. Good.
Super-
Thank you.
Supervisor Hanveld.
Yeah, I like this, and thank you for following up on this, but we are not creating any new units here. I just want to make that clear. We're retaining 10 units, and they're likely to be subsidized units. One way or another, they're subsidized with government money. This is not a long-term solution to the problem of affordable housing. We need to focus on creating new units, but thank you. This is a good step.
All right, Supervisor Royce had a comment.
Sure. Thanks, John. Thank you guys for this. First thing, this is always a tough issue. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know there's money right now. John and I think some other county staff and Tuolumne County people sat through a CSAC conference session about homelessness. And the issue I have with this subject that's challenging is we talk about funding it a lot in that session. That's pretty much all they talked about was funding, which is good. And I know when you're trying to do things, that's how you do it. But the problem I have with this on a macro scale with the homelessness issue is, to me, it's a supply and demand issue. There's not enough supply out there. There's not enough affordable supply. And when I say supply and demand, it's not just the quantity. It's the relationship between price and market conditions and supply and demand. So as a contractor, it's extremely frustrating to try to make projects viable, especially on the affordable side, when you're dealing with not just people that are homeless and going through really difficult times in their lives to where they're not independent or they're not able to be self-sufficient, but it's middle class families can't afford housing these days. And the problem I have with it is the cost is artificially inflated through requirements. And whether it's entitlements or it's actual construction, the scope of a home, residential home, just continually gets expanded and cost gets added. And nobody considers that when they're looking at these issues. It's done in a vacuum. And all we're doing to address the problem is taking money from someone and giving it to someone else to buy a unit, when really all that's doing is putting additional stress on the market. Because, like I said, it's supply and demand, and it's challenging to do anything about it, especially as a county supervisor. Good luck, But the only reason I want to take your time and make you guys listen to this is because I tried to advocate, and I couldn't even get called on in that session, but I want you guys to help advocate for the same things through your channels from the staff side. Help people understand that, it needs to make financial sense for these projects to be able to move forward, and they need to find innovative ways to simplify housing and still have health and safety and all those things, but they need to simplify it. There was one project they used as an example. $75 million was spent for, I think it was 82 affordable units.
Yeah.
82 affordable units. And that was in urban San Diego. So it's a different market, and those numbers, the context is not, apples to apples here, but still the magnitude of the problem is so huge. And the answers and the solutions that we're proposing right now don't address it. All they're trying to do, the goals of the state, is to they want to stop it to where they just don't want it getting worse. And all this money is basically done just to stop that. And we need to rethink things. I think we need tent camps. I think you need to look at the problem. There's two types of homeless people. I'll wrap it up. You have people who want to be homeless and people who are having tough times, whether it's mental health, all the things that can lead to that. And I think you need to identify those things when you're dealing with the issue. There's certain people you're not going to help, but the reason I identify those two different types is because there's the human side of the problem, trying to eliminate suffering and the
the conditions of these people. There's also the effects of homeless camps. When you have littering and environmental, people are going to the bathroom in creeks, and I mean, it's a bad situation for the community. So you have to mitigate those impacts to the community as well as the human side. And there are certain people that are just wanting some help, and we can help them. Certain people need to be, I think, directed into conditions that are not a problem for the community. And I think we need to look at that in a different way and different effort. So I'm passionate about this issue, and I know I'm running out of opportunities to talk here, people. So this is one I want to see somebody do something about. So thank you for the time.
All right. Any other public comment? Any other board comment? All right. Well, thank you. I hope the public is aware that there are things going on and we are doing something. With that, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, will the clerk please read our 11 o'clock appointment?
This is consideration of adopting a resolution honoring Craig L. Pedro, County Administrator, after 34 years of employment with the County of Tuolumne.
Okay, this is going to be difficult for some of us, especially me. Supervisor Hanvelt, would you please read the resolution that we're going to possibly pass?
Okay, Mr. Chairman, this recognizes 38 years of service, so it's 38 pages long. So we'll take a break every half hour. Is that all right? Okay, please. A privilege to read this. Whereas Craig L. Pedro is a Tuolumne County native with roots dating back to Sonora's gold rush era of the 1850s. And whereas following his graduation from Sonora High School, Craig attended Fresno State University, where he received a Bachelor of Arts degree in public administration with a minor in business. Furthermore, he completed his formal education by attending Fresno State and Stanislaus State Universities in pursuit of a Master's of Public Administration. I have to have some water here. Whereas Craig's 38-year career in public service began in October 1980 in the city of Madera, where he worked as an administrative analyst, and in July of 1981, he became a transportation planner analyst for the Madera Transportation Council. And whereas in October of 1984, he returned to his home in Tuolumne County as a management analyst in the county administrator's office, where he promoted to an administrative analyst 3 in October of 86, and in 1988 to a senior administrative analyst. Some of his most significant projects in these early years included, while serving as the Deputy Secretary of Tuolumne County Local Transportation Commission, Craig led teams that produced the first locally written regional transportation plan, assisted Caltrans in realigning and redesigning the East Sonora Bypass due to extensive development that had occurred along its original 1960s alignment, and introduced innovative legislation and used local funding to widen Monoway to 5 lanes through East Sonora and secure environmental clearance, right-of-way acquisition, and California Transportation Commission support of a 3-phase plan for funding the construction of the East Sonora Bypass. 2 of those 3 phases have been completed. While serving as the county's emergency services coordinator, Craig led the county response and recovery efforts for the 1986 floods and the 1987 Stanislaus Complex fire and myriad of other lesser emergencies. And whereas in June of 1997, Craig promoted to become the assistant county administrator, a position he held until October 31st, 2006. As the county's assistant, Craig oversaw a number of county divisions and projects as follows. he was responsible for animal control, facilities management, information technology, and human resources. Craig oversaw the design and construction of the Carlo Di Ferrari Archives building, fire stations at Phoenix Lake Road and Acorn Drive, and at North Tuolumne Road and Tamara Meadows Drive, and the Tuolumne Library and Youth Center, and the Jamestown Youth Center. One of the most complex and heart-wrenching tasks was working with the staff at Tuolumne General Hospital to weigh all options and in the end recommend to close the long-beloved hospital. Thanks to Craig and others, when the time came to close the hospital, it was done with as much care and support as humanly possible. Great strides were taken to find jobs for employees and to ensure medical care was properly transitioned to the nearby Sonora Regional Hospital. Almost all of the former hospital employees found other employment within 6 months of the hospital closing. In 2002, Craig received the Excellence in Government Award given out by the Tuolumne County Chamber of Commerce. Attended University of Virginia's Senior Executive Institute, and whereas in November 2006, Mr. Pedro was appointed as the county's 5th county administrative officer. Mr. Pedro holds the unique distinction of having served under every CAO in Tuolumne County history. And whereas 1 year after taking office, the Great Recession hit the country and Tuolumne County, causing significant decreases across the county's most significant revenues, such as property taxes. Furthermore, Craig skillfully guided the county's finances through the Great Recession, staying true to sound financial practices and recommending revised budget policies to the Board of Supervisors, including an annual financial report card. And whereas Craig established a multi-year budget forecasting process to help the county set proper expectations and make budget adjustments with an eye towards the future. And whereas under Craig's leadership, the county combined several development-related departments into a community resources agency, which streamlined the economic development engine of the county. And whereas using his local acumen, he brought the city of Sonora and the county together to create a joint economic development authority. And whereas during the post-recession years, the county contracted for a classification and compensation study and then implemented the findings, successfully completing multi-year agreements with all county employee bargaining units. And whereas Craig initiated a customer service program and created the traditions of employee appreciation events, and whereas using his local relationships, he secured land from 2 well-respected families that led to the purchase of property for a new Law and Justice Center campus, and whereas Craig is supported by his faith as evidenced by his service as an elder at Sierra Bible Church, and whereas he has been supported throughout his career by his amazing wife, Ruth, and 3 children, William, James, and Krista, he enjoys being a grandpa to 4 adoring grandchildren with another one on the way. Therefore, be it resolved that the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors expresses its gratitude to Craig L. Pedro for his unmatched work ethic and dedication to providing a better community for the residents of Tuolumne County. Furthermore, the Board of Supervisors wishes Mr. Pedro a joyful retirement, knowing he gave his best during his 38-year local government career. Adopted by the Board of Supervisors of the County of Tuolumne on December 4th, 2018.
So before I come up and present this, I think we ought to go ahead and approve the resolution.
I'll move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Supervisor Hanwell, a second by Supervisor Rutherford. All those in favor? Aye.
Mr. Pedro, it's going to be hard, you know.
You can do it, John.
Yeah, okay. So, about 10 years ago, Craig and I had lunch at, was it lunch or dinner at Pine Mountain Lake?
Yes.
I think. Okay. One of those. And we talked about some things, and he asked me a question why I wanted to be supervisor, and I gave him, I don't think a canned answer, but I kind of explained to him why I wanted to be. But from that very first meeting, I knew I liked this guy. I knew he's going to be great to work with, and you have to. So, Mr. Pedro, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Okay, we have one other one here, presented to Craig L. Pedro for dedicated and loyal service to the citizens of Tuolumne County, October 1st, 1984 through December 29th, 2018. Again, sir.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Are we going to talk?
I'll take direction from the chair.
So, I'm going to start with Supervisor Hanvelt because I think we all have a few words that we want to add.
Craig, we've been together for 8 years with you as the CAO and me as a supervisor, and I want to tell you, it's been a great time. But I want to remind you of one of the things that you did. I was invited to a meeting. This is about March of 2010, so I wasn't elected. I was running, and I was invited to this meeting, and Craig walks in, and the first thing he did was kick me out.
True story.
You know, I don't handle rejection well. Anyway, we've had a lot of good times, a lot of tough times. The resolution talks about emergencies. I cannot believe the number of emergencies this county's had, and we've lived through, and we continue to live through. You didn't close them all out, Craig. Not quite. But anyway, it's been my privilege to work with you. You're a man who has dedicated his life, his career, largely the people of Tuolumne County, and I don't think the people understand what that commitment, that dedication, that passion for the people of Tuolumne County. You only had their best interests at heart the whole time, and that's to be admired. People owe you a big round of applause, a big thanks, and I want to say thank you for them, certainly for the people of District 2, and for your service, your commitment to your family, and wish you God's blessings in retirement. You deserve a very healthy and long retirement. Thanks, Craig.
Thanks, Randy.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah. So, where do you begin? Probably at the, we all rush in there as a new supervisor, and boy, we've got our ideas, and sometimes we don't stop and ask some questions first. And one of my first charges in is coordination. Craig, where are we on coordination? We need to talk about coordination. We need to move. We've got to move some of these things forward. And early on, Craig gave me a good lesson on the foundation that was built. And it was a lot of staff members that are here. I see a couple of supervisors that were really involved in that. But what you showed me was that was the foundation that we're building off of today, and we're doing good things, and so much of it came. I didn't want to be the first to do this.
You weren't.
But it's the foundation. We look at the Law and Justice Center and what that's going to be for this county, and there are so many critical pieces that we can point to. And you really provided the pathway. And it's too many to count. I appreciate your friendship. I know that's not going away. There's just too many things in common between the families. But your leadership and your guidance, it truly has been a pleasure to work with you.
Thanks.
All right, Supervisor Royce.
Yeah. Hi, Craig. So I've been talking to myself this whole time about Craig, so I have so many things that I want to say, and I know I'm not going to get remotely close to getting them all out, but I want to share some of the things that I admire about Craig and some of the things that I think make him who he is, and how I want people to understand how important this person has been to our community in our county. And I know one of the things that people need to know about Craig is how near and dear Tuolumne County is to him. In the most fundamental ways, Craig is made up of Tuolumne County. Through and through, in his heart and his soul, Craig is Tuolumne County. And his intentions and purpose and his service has been dedicated to that. And what Tuolumne County is. Craig's somebody who knows what Tuolumne County is for real. And I would claim that too, and that's what I'm made of. And I can't tell you how much I've appreciated that and how much faith it's given me and you as we've worked here together. And like Randy said, 8 years ago is when I got to come into this role as well. And Craig was a person that took me by the hand, department to department, and slowly started to educate us on what this job is really about. And I'll tell you, when I first came in, I had no clue. And John and other board members, Dick Plant, and the audience helped with that as well. And slowly you learn what this job is about. And it really comes down to it's serving others. That's what it is. And there's lots of BS that comes along with that. And I'll tell you, I don't think there are many people out there that could carry all that BS on their shoulders the way you did for that long. It is so impressive how far you were able to come and what you were able to do through that time. There's a lot of people that can carry the title, they can collect the check and show up, but Craig is a true diplomat. Craig is a true statesman and a public servant. And for 30 whatever years before, I think Craig started working for Tuolumne County when I was 2. And he was. I think. Thank you, Evan. I mean, that's. and it's unfathomable to think about how much effort and how much work and time and commitment and all of those things have been contributed from one person. And it's not. I mean, the thing that's so incredible about it is it's not just a job. It's not a 9 to 5. You're dealing with pushing boulders uphill. You're dealing with pressures that are coming from every direction. You have finite resources. You have people that you're trying to motivate. And so you're a manager, you're a leader. We always ask that. Randy's got this famous question in all of our closed session interviews. Ask people, and maybe I'm giving away the secret now because they're all going to know. But
if you publish the question, they come to interview, they'll have the answer.
This is a good thing for everybody to know. What's the difference between management and leadership? And there is a big difference. But both are very important. And Craig, you have been able to be both of those things. You've been a leader, you've been a manager, you've been a friend, you've been a mentor, and you're one of the most impressive people to me that I've been able to work with. I've learned a lot from you. I appreciate that. And we need more people like Craig in this world that are dedicated and that create more good than bad that they cause. More people that carry more weight than themselves. And thank you for what you've done for our county. Thanks, Evan.
Supervisor Rotifer.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not John, because, if Sherry hadn't teared up, thered be nothing left to say. But I echo all the sentiments that have been said before, and I'll try and take the last few things so that John has nothing to say, other than yes, me too. First of all, I can promise you that in, I think it was 34 years here, Craig, in Tuolumne County, in his 34 years, nobody that has worked for 45 or 50 years put as many hours into his work as Craig Pedro did. Maybe there probably isn't anybody that's worked 70 or 75 years. This guy worked weekends. He was here late at night. He was here at dark 30 in the morning. And I'm not talking about on special occasions. That guy worked like that almost all the time. And I knew that coming in. When I got on the board, we were starting to get to the bottom of the physical downturn. So I've been fortunate. I didn't have to deal with the hospital issue and all of that stuff as a supervisor. But I was watching as a citizen. And it wasn't a pretty thing to have to do, and it certainly wasn't pleasant. But I think he did it absolutely right. And it was something that there will be people that disagree to this day, but it was something that absolutely, from a fiscal standpoint, this county would be bankrupt today if we hadn't done that. So kudos on that. In my 6 years on the board now, there's only been 7 months that this county hasn't been in a state of emergency. And I don't think that anybody that hasn't been around this staff knows the toll that that has taken on our entire staff. Our staff, I think one of the amazing things to me is that our staff has continued to do the day-to-day operations and deal with all of these emergencies nonstop since August of 2013. We had it wasn't quite nonstop. We had 2-week break between Christmas and New Year's after rimfire and before the drought. But except for that 2 weeks, ever since August of 2013, we've been in one state of emergency or another, or most of the time in multiple states of emergency. That's a drain. And it's a drain not just on the staff, but it's a drain on leadership. And Craig Pedro has guided us through all of that. You know, I'm not sure where we would be with all of that if it hadn't been for Craig. Fiscal responsibility, go back to the hospital, some of those early decisions. But this county is in fundamentally solid fiscal shape right now. I'm confident of that, probably more than most. I've been watching that, and it's important to me. And Craig's responsible for that. Okay? Craig's made the tough decisions. Some of us haven't always liked the decisions, but they were the right decisions. So very, very important. Probably the biggest skill set that somebody can bring to that office is fiscal responsibility, and Craig, you got it in spades. And I'll go back, everybody said it. Craig bleeds Tuolumne County blood, okay? It courses through his veins. His heart is pumping it all the time. He lives and breathes Tuolumne County, and you can tell just in how he talks about himself, how he carries himself, and all of that stuff. So I'm going to get off the stage now. I'll echo Randy's God's blessings to you in your retirement. Don't make the mistake I made. Don't come out of retirement, okay? Stay retired. No, seriously, enjoy it. There's going to be a lot of opportunities that are going to come your way. Pick and choose wisely, but follow your heart, because ultimately it's done you well this far, and congratulations to you.
Thank you, Carl.
Sarah.
Yes. So, Craig, I asked my office what message we wanted to share with you on your retirement, and we all want you to know that your work ethic is admirable. Your dedication to this county and its citizens is incomparable, and we appreciate your approachability. You've always taken the time to impart your wisdom and lessons learned with those around you, and we appreciate it. We also appreciate your good nature, because you have, with very good humor, or humored us, I should say, as we diligently worked to help cultivate your silly side. From stealing your office's Christmas tree and replacing it with a one-of-a-kind Charlie Brown tree, to locating the epicenter of the bark beetle infestation, although I did find one left. It was in your office. And to most recently uncovering a mine shaft full of the mother lode of Pedro dollars. You've also been known to do the happy dance when certain projects are completed. And so just the smile on your face when you indulge us in our shenanigans brings us pure joy, so thank you. Personally, for me, I just want to thank you for being a trusted confidant. When I was first appointed, Bill Morris told me I could trust you. And, I'm a skeptical lawyer, so I thought, well, I will decide that. But he was 100% right. The relationship between county council and CAO, to be successful, it has to be built on trust. And we deal with some of the most complex, sensitive, difficult situations a county can face. But I knew that we would always get through it because I could trust you and you could trust me. And I am forever grateful that I was able to serve alongside you and learn from you. I'm grateful for our professional relationship, but for our friendship. And so we all wish you the very best in your retirement. We have a memory book, so you will not forget our shenanigans. And also, you know that all the lessons that you've taught us, whether it was directly or indirectly, that will be carried in our hearts as we continue our career. So thank you.
Okay, I'll finish it up here and try to keep it all together. Said a little bit at the podium, but truly, Craig, I just feel that you're just a friend of mine, and I appreciate that. And I know we've had some real serious talks about a lot of different things, and I've enjoyed those. I've come away learning something from them, and being able to share my feelings with you, and you being able to share them with me were helpful. I'd be remiss to thank Ruth and your family for giving us to you for so many years. Thank you, because I think if I could come up with a term for Craig, it's duty first, self second. And that's the way I'm always going to remember you. So, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Externally. So, Craig, I have many words for you. And I know I keep saying I wasn't going to make eye contact with you because you're going to make me cry. Some of them I want to say for a little bit later because they're a mixture of personal and some shared faith. But most of all, what I want to do is tell you thank you. And I don't want to look at you. I know you're going to make me cry.
I just want to point out I am solid as a rock.
Yeah, you're doing great.
Do you have any tissues in there?
I do, actually. I brought one for you if you'd like it. So, for here, before we talk later, the thank you is so heartfelt for us, for our office. I'm positive, Craig, I wouldn't be sitting up here today if it weren't for you. You saw things in me that I never saw, and sometimes I still don't see. And you were there as a coach, you were there as a mentor, and as an accountability partner, because we all know I made some pretty big blunders along the way. And your grace and your mercy while all of that was taking place and encouraging me along the way is something I'll always remember. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Trace.
All right. I don't know if you want to say anything, or if we don't, we have other people that are willing to speak. But
okay, let me take a shot at this. Well, first, thank you for the very kind words about the work and the service. As you know, it takes a team to do anything, and we are a team. Here, I'm looking at some of the key team members of this county. I'm just, one of your tools, but friend in doing so. There's been so many tremendous people that have worked, and are working today for the county of Tuolumne. Always reminding the folks in the public, there's some tremendous public servants that really care about this county, and they put it in and day out. And if it wasn't for all those folks, and I'm going to put the exclamation point, on my staff as well, we couldn't do the fine work, that we do in Tuolumne County for its residents. So thank you, looking at this board, but the others before you as well, and all the staff that work for this, for this county. something you've mentioned about, the public service, attitude, and I want to share just a couple things. When I talk to folks in orientation, I made it a purpose several years ago to meet with every employee that comes to work, with the county, and amongst a bunch of things, I talk about, a calling that was actually, it's been told before, but when I was a senior at Sonora High, I'd been a student body vice president, serving my fellow students and enjoying that. Amongst other things, but it was Senator John Garamendi who came, actually at that time, Assemblyman John Garamendi came to my senior class, and this in the midst of Watergate, when skepticism was probably at its all-time high about those that serve in government. But he just challenged folks that if you want good government, you need good people to get involved in government. And that was a hook. To me, as a man who was motivated by John F. Kennedy saying, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And he went into, what is it? Peace Corps, right? And anyway, that really spoke to me. It caused me to change my major. I was going to be a teacher and coach in the model of some other folks that I've really respected as I grew up here, but was called to public service. And I've laid that challenge out to people that there's a nobility to public service. And to think about it, I love opportunities to talk to high school kids in particular, to challenge themselves, what higher calling could there be than to serve your fellow man? And so that's kind of a part of that rooting. The other thing we talk about is the difference between an occupation and a vocation. An occupation is fine. When you think about that, an employee-employer relationship, it's an exchange. I will work for you. I will get pay and benefits back, and that's fine. That's nothing wrong with that. But I've also challenged people if they can view their work as a vocation, a calling, an opportunity to serve their fellow residents, that no matter what, they can still get the benefits of the occupational relationship. But if you look at it as a vocation and a calling, what an opportunity, to serve, and what fulfillment you'll get out of your work, more so than if you just look at it in that pure occupational exchange relationship. And those are just a couple of things that I've left, with people over the years. I hope I'll continue to have opportunity to encourage people down the path of public service. And just to say, this family that has been mentioned here, my wife Ruth, who's been a teacher, not just for me, but a teacher. Eldest son, William, works for the National Park Service in Arches National Park right now. Next son down, James, he's now working for actually the Tuolumne County Probation Department. And just for the record, everyone was really good. I didn't know he'd even applied up here until he was coming for a final interview. And he said, Dad, I figured you'd figure it out that he kept coming up to visit a lot. I thought, to see us. And he was interviewing, no one said anything. And he was able to get that job rightfully on his own steam. But public service, I'll get to you, Amber. But Krista, youngest daughter, another teacher. And then my daughter-in-law, Amber, is also a teacher, all public servants. Thank you for that pause.
You did good.
So anyway, it's been a pleasure to serve here. I know he's in the audience, and I'll thank him again. And I've thanked him a number of times. Steve Zaley, first CAO. Golly. I've been good. I'm holding it. But Steve gave me the opportunity to come home. And I've talked to him, and I'm so grateful. He did. Steve. Anyway, I'll just land that. Yeah, I think the box. No. I said rock. But it really has been a pleasure. Kind of along the lines of what Carl said, I've shared with you guys too that this is just one chapter of my life. Ecclesiastes talks about there being seasons, a time and a season for everything. And this is just a natural time and a season for me to bring this close to this chapter of my life. but I'm a young dude still. I've got a lot of, thank you, a lot of energy and a lot of that Tuolumne County blood, coursing through the veins. And I look forward to see, what God would tell me to do as far as the next chapter in service to the folks here in Tuolumne County. So, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is not the end of it,
Yeah, John, I just got to say, having coordinated some of these kinds of things, it's always a lot more fun on your end, I think. I've been looking forward to this like someone putting, matchsticks underneath my
Yes, we
fingernails
could
and
tell.
lighting them.
We could tell. You've had some encouragement from staff to behave yourself and not get involved and all that kind of stuff. I understand
And by
that.
the way, Sarah, when I walk away, I just want you to know the hounds will be released.
Okay, so we have a few other people here that would like to make some presentations. Sidney Lewis, District Director, representing Senator Kamala Harris.
Hi, I'm Sydney Lewis. I'm the Sacramento District Director for Senator Kamala Harris. And while this is my first time meeting Craig in person, he's always been really helpful for our office whenever we've needed any information from the county. He's super responsive. And I think, public service is not just about doing well in your job. It's about doing good for everyone. And I think that he's managed to do that. His colleagues just cannot say enough good things about him. And we've certainly gotten a lot of really positive feedback about your work for the county. So thank you so much for your incredible career in public service. And I actually have a letter from the senator for you, thanking you for your service as well. So thank you again and happy retirement.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we have Shelley I'm going to get it right.
Phonetically.
Abajan.
Shelley Abajan.
Okay, we got
So,
representing Senator Feinstein's office.
Yes.
And we've known each other a few years.
A few years. 17 years I've been doing this job, and I cover 16 counties formally in the middle of the state. And by the words and the tears that have come from Tuolumne County, you know how they feel about you. And I don't hear this from every county I go to, so you're a treasure. And many things I could say. And Craig's always been very responsive. And Johnny on the spot when there's been a disaster or catastrophe, which there have been a few. And fortunately, Tracy has held on to and learned a lot from him, and look forward to working with you. And now I think the county will have to name something after you. And I always thought the dam was named after you, but you proved me wrong.
No, they did name something.
Yeah, I always thought
Pedro dollars.
Yeah, okay. Pedro dollars. And last year we were at a celebration for a friend of ours that retired also, and I sang at his event, but I won't do that today. So, on behalf of Senator Feinstein, I'll cut this short. Here's your proclamation. I'd read it directly from there, but I have retirement eyes, but don't plan on retiring. And it states, you can keep that or throw it. In recognition and appreciation for your 34 years of service to Tuolumne County, your decades-long career in public service is truly commendable. As the county administrator, you have forged lasting partnerships and worked tirelessly along with the Board of Supervisors and county staff to improve the quality of life for the residents of Tuolumne County. As United States Senator representing the people of California, I am proud to honor you for your dedication to public service and extend my best wishes for the many years ahead. United States Senator Dianne Feinstein. And you know where I am, so your next career, let it pass with mine again. And I've appreciated everything you've done for the county and for our office. Best wishes.
Thank you.
Okay, Matt Reed, Congressman Tom McClintock's congressional office.
Hello, Craig, Mr. Chairman, and Tuolumne County residents. Congressman McClintock has submitted remarks into the congressional record. I won't read all the paragraphs, but so much of it has been said this morning already. And we heard that before the sun rises and well after it sets, you're often wandering the halls of Tuolumne County doing the people's work. And you'd be surprised perhaps how often your name comes up also in the halls of Congress and our office anytime, unfortunately, when there's a federally declared disaster in Tuolumne County. Where's Craig? We need the info to help, pull the right levers to help expedite assistance. Anytime something somewhat similar to this was going on, when a talented county employee was retiring after decades of public service, Craig would be on the phone making sure they're getting the proper recognition at the federal level, explaining the federal nexus often, how many times we've received important information from that employee or their team that helped make our job easier. And, if we were to boil it down to just two things when we think of Craig in Congress, he's a champion of Tuolumne County, and he's the personification of a public servant. And we can't thank you enough for all the help you've given us, and obviously you're hearing from those you work with every day on how much you meant to them. And to boil this down, I'll sort of show it to the audience here. At the top it says Congressional Record and the House of Representatives. It starts with Mr. Speaker. That's the way they talk in Congress. And then there's a whole bunch of information about what a great guy Craig is and what great service he's done for the county. So we wish you the best in your retirement. We hate to see you go, but we know that you're, sixth generation Tuolumne County guy, so you won't be far away, and we'll see you again soon. So thank you for everything.
I just got to say, there's been a lot of talk about spoken about emergencies and that thing. I just got to tell the story because early on, there was a time where I was asked to take Ruth and have children elsewhere. Because with our firstborn, William, he was only 10 days old when the 1986 floods occurred, which I believe still, unfortunately, has the greatest amount of public and private damage we've ever incurred. And then I also learned that at midnight, I called Steve Zaley at 3 in the morning when this thing was going down, and he forgot to tell me that I had become the new emergency services coordinator and said, get out there and do good, Craig. That was my training. But so William was 10 days overdue, or no, born, and when the 86 floods occurred, James, when the 87 complex fire was happening, and with the depth of backup we have in our office today, I was it. In those days, I was emergency services. So the complex fire, I remember we were going just full bore, 10 days straight, 20-hour days. I'd come home, check in on my wife, who was overdue with James. And on the 10th day, when we wrote the plan to allow people back into their homes, I got home. She was in labor. I said, well, maybe it's false pains. We laid down for about 15 minutes and said, this is it. And went to the hospital, had James, 10 days overdue. And after I checked in on him to make sure he was okay and Ruth was okay, I went into the hallway, draped myself over my mom, bawled my eyes out. So anyway, that's when the emergency services coordinator for state OES came up, spoke to the board and said, have Craig have his next child out of Tuolumne County.
Excuse me, Dana Jorgensen, District Director representing Senator Tom Berryhill and Bigelow.
We need to expand the House.
Yes. So this is kind of a unique thing. This is the very last joint Berryhill-Bigelow resolution, and you are receiving it today. Done a lot of these over the last 6 years. I was practicing this morning. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but, on reflection, being a county administrator is one of the hardest jobs that there is, and I think the supervisors will agree with that. we as the state of California tell you to do a lot of things, and we don't always give you, there's not very much money in here. It's kind of like the state
That's
of
what they always say. There's not enough money.
That's the closest I've seen to the state bank right here.
But it is a very difficult job, and to have someone to have that job for many years, believe me, we have 11 counties in our district, is extremely uncommon. And one of the things having this job is, you know, we can't sell more cement or sell more tires or sell more computer programs. We're passing laws and moving money around to have a safe and healthy society. And that is run on information. And to have somebody that is from this community that really knows, maybe, I think more importantly, what won't fly as opposed to what will fly is extremely important. And it's very rare in our foothill communities to have that. So I just want to tell you, I recognize how difficult your job has been and how difficult it is to provide all the services that you have done. So this is the last joint, it's assembly resolution by Senator Berryhill and Assemblyman Bigelow to Mr. Pedro. And it just says resolved by Assemblymember Bigelow and Senator Berryhill that Craig Pedro be commended for his long and distinguished record of professional service and outstanding civic leadership to the people of Tuolumne County, and extend sincere best wishes for a rewarding and gratifying retirement. The last one. Thank you.
Okay, Paul Smith, representing Rural County Representatives of California.
Another guy I've known for a few years.
Mr. Chairman and members, Paul Smith with RCRC. I'll be real brief because I know there's a lunch waiting and there's a thirst to be quenched here. Just want to say on behalf of RCRC, the 36 members, the supervisors, the staff at RCRC, and all of the members, including your fellow CAOs, job well done. As Dana just said, this is an amazingly difficult job that you have performed, and you did it so well for so long, and you were able to guide so many others and lay the pathwork for, I think, a model that hopefully California's counties, California's rural counties can long benefit from. So on behalf of RCRC, congratulations.
Okay, we have Darby Kernan, Deputy Executive of Legislative Affairs, representing California State Association of Counties.
Hi, everyone. A little shorter. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here for Craig today. You know, CSAC represents all 58 counties in California, and as you're talking about the public service, he provides not only a public service to Tuolumne County, but also to all 58 counties as we're working on different issues, whether it's realignment, Medi-Cal, mental health. He's always there willing to work with us. As one of the longest running CAOs in the state right now, he's been a resource for everybody in California. And he provides not only an important perspective of Tuolumne County, but all rural counties. And so we are always tapping him to get his expertise and his experience to help us kind of address all of the problems and issues facing California. So we have a resolution for you today, thanking you for all your service. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to open it up for anyone else that wishes to come forward.
I did get my burn permit, really.
Morning, Chairman Gray, Board of Supervisors, CEO Riggs. Thank you for the opportunity to come up this afternoon. This is on behalf of Tuolumne Calaveras United Cal Fire and Tuolumne County Fire. Chief White cannot make it here today, but in his honor, we'd like to present a plaque to you. I'm not going to read it. I'm going to kind of just speak from the heart a little bit here. But I've been around for 30 of your 34 years, and we've seen a lot of big disasters, a lot of small disasters. Been up late at night, early in the morning, worked together a lot, and I've always appreciated your leadership, your dedication, your opinion, your never backing down attitude, holding people accountable, especially other agencies when we're dealing with emergencies like that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
So anyone else before we decide to go to the Opera Hall? All right. It starts at 12:30. Is that correct? See you there, Mr. Pedro.
Sir.
Thank you. I'm going to adjourn the meeting.